That was Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum at the Mexico Independence Day celebration. Now, furious world leaders, like you saw there with Claudia Sheinbaum, strongly asserting their sovereignty, their strength, their power against a very weak and sickly Donald Trump and pathetic Trump regime. I want to show you now how furious King Charles III lured Donald Trump in for a trap as part of Donald Trump's visit to the United Kingdom. Now, King Charles knows how Donald Trump is so pathetically wanting to be a king and how he is in awe of the pomp and circumstance of the royal family. So here's what King Charles did as well. Then I want to talk about Mexico and Canada having a huge meeting tomorrow. I want to talk about Zelensky. I want to talk more about Europe. I want to talk about a poll, by the way, that shows that many countries now view the United States as the biggest threat to them. And I'm talking about like United States former allies or allies that you can have. But first, watch this brilliant trap by King Charles. So he brings Trump over, the pomp and circumstance. He's got the flyover, Windsor Castle, the golden carriage. By the way, Donald Trump's hand was literally rotting while it was there. It looked worse than ever. I've described it as looking like Donald Trump has put his hand into a piranha tank. But after luring Donald Trump in and making Trump dress up in, the white suit and all that white tie suit, here's what King Charles did. Boom! In his speech, he looks at Donald Trump. He talks about World War I and World War II and the US and the UK's historic relationship there. And then in front of the world, King Charles brings up Ukraine and says, this is why we're uniting to defeat Russia, to defeat the forces of tyranny. As you have Donald Trump kind of sitting there, like, look at his face. Zoom in on Trump's face right here if you can with the still. And then King Charles is like, and here is why we defend Ukraine. That's what this whole setup was for. Watch it go down in real time. Here, play this clip.
Our countries have the closest defense, security, and intelligence relationship ever known. In 2 world wars, we fought together to defeat the forces of tyranny. Today, as tyranny once again threatens Europe, we and our allies stand together in support of Ukraine to deter aggression and secure peace.
All right, now back to Mexico for a moment. So today you have Prime Minister Carney of Canada meeting with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. They are signing a strategic partnership and they are going to unite their positions as well ahead of the CUSMA review, the Canada, United States, Mexico agreement review. Remember, there was NAFTA in the 90s, then Trump slightly changed it during his first regime and called it USMCA or CUSMA. It's very much like NAFTA, but with a few additions. And then Donald Trump, when he came in power, his regime this time basically ripped CUSMA to shreds, although he paused the tariffs on CUSMA-related items. But it was always believed that Donald Trump was going to attack his own deal, rip his own deal, because Trump breaches contracts, and screw over Canada and Mexico as he has done. So we have this big meeting right now between Carney and Claudia Sheinbaum, and they're planning how they're standing up against the Trump regime, uniting their positions, while Donald Trump is out there saying, Mexico does what we tell them. Canada does what we tell them. They obey. They submit to me. No, they don't, Donald. The world is laughing at you, you vile piece of trash. Here, play this clip.
Now they know it meant a lot. And Mexico does what we tell them to do, and Canada does what we tell them to do, because we had the 2 borders. We had the northern border, southern border, and they were both horrible. But now it's some people say it's a miracle.
Now, take a look right here at this chart right here. Pew Research released this in the past week. Most people in Mexico and Canada now say the United States is their country's greatest threat. So if you look at comparisons of United States, Russia, and China, In Mexico, 68% say U.S. is the biggest threat to Mexico. Only 6% say Russia, 5% say China. In Canada, 59% say U.S. is the biggest threat, 11% say Russia, 17% say China. In Indonesia, 40% say the U.S. is their biggest threat, 3% say Russia, 19% say China. In South Africa, 35% of the population say America is their biggest threat, 19% say Russia, 13% say China. In Brazil, 29% say U.S. is the biggest threat, Russia 12%, China 15%. Argentina, interesting, 24% U.S., Russia 13%, China 13%. So amongst Mexico, Canada, Indonesia, South Africa, Brazil, and Argentina, U.S. is their biggest threat. U.S. is tied for the top threat in Spain and Kenya between Russia and Spain. And then you look at other countries. In Australia, you have China as their top threat, but 20% still say U.S. is their biggest threat. In Japan, 18% say U.S. is the biggest threat, 53% say China. Interesting data, right? Should be noted as well, the mayor of Las Vegas begging Mexico and Canada to resume tourism to Vegas. Vegas is getting crushed right now. I think Vegas is in a great recession, perhaps even already in a depression. So all those people who thought that they were getting no tax on tips are finding out they're not really getting tips anymore because their income is all the way down as a result of Trump's policies, his trade war against the world, his disastrous tariffs. So Donald, when you say Mexico does what we tell them, I just want to show you again, for the first time in Mexico's history, you're going to have a woman hosting the Independence Day event. President Claudia Sheinbaum marked the 215th anniversary of Mexico's independence from Spain. Let's take a look at this portion right here as well.
¡Mexicanos! ¡Viva la independencia! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Josefa Ortiz Tellez Girón! ¡Viva! ¡Viva José María Morelos y Pavón! ¡Viva!
Congressmember Moskowitz puts it really smart here, where he goes, maybe, Donald, you want to treat Russia like you're treating Washington, D.C. or Canada or our allies. Maybe if you treat Russia, just treat Russia like them. Here, play this clip.
What would you hope the president would do to place some pressure on Vladimir Putin so Lavrov doesn't feel free and Putin don't feel free to continue thumbing their nose at America?
Well, by the way, I don't need to tell the president how to do this at all. Actually, he's fully capable. I mean, maybe just treat them like you're treating Washington, D.C., or how you treated Greenland when you came into office, or how you treated Canada when you came into office. Like, where is that President Trump with the Russians? It seems like he's tougher on these other things. He's tougher on Chicago than he is dealing with Putin. So maybe just take that attitude. He's got all of the tools the president does. He has the ability to do those sanctions. He can let the Senate move forward. He can send weapons to Ukraine. You know, he can really squeeze them from an economic standpoint. So the president has the tools. He just has to be willing to use them.
Now, let me share this with you as well. This is from President Zelensky right here, powerful post that he made about security guarantees. He goes, when we speak about security guarantees for Ukraine, there are several key elements. First, the Ukrainian army. We already agreed on what we need in the sky, at sea, and on the ground. Our partners now understand the scale of these needs, but the important thing is that we are on the same page and they are ready to deliver. Second, the strength and size of the Ukrainian army itself. We know exactly what it has to be, and this requires significant funding. This is why financial support from our partners is crucial. Third, Article 5-like guarantees. We are discussing this with the U.S., and I believe we will reach bilateral decisions. And finally, sanctions in case Russia decides to repeat aggression again, as well as reconstruction, including the use of frozen Russian assets. To give an example, the cost of this war today is about $120 billion per year. Ukraine covers half of it from its own budget. The other half, $60 billion, must be secured. Plan A is to end the war. Plan B is to secure the cost. I think that's really said very smart. And I'm a data guy. So you give me the info and the data and the plan, that's what I respond to. Zelensky also goes, Russia prepared offensive operations along 4 main axes this year: Sumy, Novovlakia, Provrovsk, and Zaporizhia. The Sumy operation has already failed. Russia suffered heavy losses, especially in manpower, and has redeployed forces to other fronts. Ukraine armed forces inflicted even greater losses on them there. I think we might name the exact area in the next 2 days. As a result, Russia is left with 2 operations, but it has lost so much manpower that it cannot deliver strong additional actions in the above-mentioned directions. I believe that as of now, they lack the strength for large-scale offensives. Now, I want to show you also, as Donald Trump was kind of lured into this brilliant trap by King Charles. You see him right here again in the golden carriage. Again, him looking deeply, deeply sickly over there. Here is what Donald Trump said about being at Windsor Castle, and Trump pretended that he was the first president of the United States to ever be at the UK and Windsor Castle, which is utterly ridiculous. But okay, but believe, King Charles's view is, all right, Donald, believe that. I'm going to put you right there next to me and frickin' shame you on Ukraine. Here, play this clip.
Thank you so much. It's been so great being with you today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's a singular privilege to be the first American president welcomed here. And if you think about it, it's a lot of presidents, and this was the second state visit, and that's the first, and maybe that's going to be the last time. I hope it is, actually. But this is truly one of the highest honors of my life. Such respect for you and such respect for your country.
And so all the other stuff that you saw, like Trump inspecting the guard of honor with King Charles, I don't like seeing a sexual abuser, a felon, a bankrupter, a putrid human being there in the UK on our taxpayer dime, on the UK taxpayer dime. But I did want to show you what the plan was. So here he is inspecting the guard of honor. Play this clip. Here's the Royal Air Force Red Arrows. Play this clip. And so, to me, all of that was a way to help Zelensky more than anything. But then do you see how forceful Mexico, Canada, you see what's going on, right? You see it, huh? I wish more of corporate media in America would talk about it. This is a big deal. The world order's shifting, folks. It's a changing. And the U.S. weak, pathetic, Trumpy, like he's done with his businesses. A lot going on.